Joshua's
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Is he?
Oh man, you look at Anthony Joshua, he looks like a superhero.
Eddie Hearn responding to this just confirms that this fight could actually happen.
In a recent episode of his podcast, Joe Rogan humorously speculated about Jake Paul's plans to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026. Rogan joked that the delayed timeline might be to give Paul enough time to bulk up on steroids before taking on the former heavyweight champion.
That Dubois guy, though, holy man. The way he took out Anthony Joshua.
I know.
Yeah, Jake wants to fight Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's.
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like,
"Get-
what
please
about
make that
now?
happen." Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him
now.
now? He's like, no, I want to wait till 2026. Like, okay.
To put on weight.
Put all the steroids, every steroid
What
they
do you-
have.
I would watch-
Snake
here's the
venom,
thing, I would
scorpion
watch it.
venom. Oh, by the way,
Scorpion venom.
Rollo reached out to me, John Rollo, my boy, and he sells this blue scorpion shit. He wants to get you some, Jordan.
I'll have some.
All right, I'll have him send you some.
Get on
I'll
the
I'll take
take some
quadruple
too.
doses. Like,
Yeah,
We'll see
do
what
it.
happens. I'm gonna start slow. I'm gonna find out if I get poisoned.
Yeah, just
What the fuck are we doing? We're drinking venom from scorpions?
that is weird.
That's weird. He's got the dopest tattoo.
Joe Rogan has long admired Anthony Joshua's physique and strength. Recently, he remarked that Joshua looks like a superhero due to his muscular build and incredible power in the ring. Known for his disciplined training and exceptional athleticism, Joshua stands out among fighters. His dominance in the heavyweight division has solidified his reputation as one of the most respected boxers in the sport.
Like boxers today, if you look at like Anthony Joshua, who's the heavyweight champion of the world now.
Is he?
Look at him. Yeah, he's a English fellow. He's a tank. I mean, he's a.
Is he?
Oh man, you look at Anthony Joshua. He looks like a superhero.
Do those guys have as much stamina as these guys do, though?
Oh yeah, they do
Oh, they
today.
did?
Yeah, because the conditioning methods that they have today are just so superior. They understand rest and recovery, and they monitor
see.
your heart rate, and they're monitoring lactic acid buildup. And
Jake Paul has been taking on legendary fighters in boxing. But what if he decided to challenge someone in MMA? His bouts against former champions have already drawn significant attention, but stepping into the cage would present an entirely new challenge. Some have even speculated that he might consider fighting Joe Rogan at some point.
Now that things didn't work out in boxing for Jake Paul, who's he gonna fight in MMA?
if he fought Joe Rogan, that'd be the greatest selling fight of all time.
Joe Rogan?
That'd be a good fight. I think Rogan would beat him.
That's insane. You're crazy.
In MMA? Have you seen Joe's kicks?
Joe.
Damn! One to Jake's face, he's dead.
I've seen the spinning kicks, but Joe's like 70 years old now. He's like 3 feet shorter than Jake Paul. He's a blob.
One DMT trip right beforehand, he'll see every punch Jake's gonna throw.
No matter how many cold plunges or sauna trips Joe takes, he won't be prepared for a fight against Jake.
Jake Paul's strategy has revolved around calling out legendary fighters, ensuring he remains the center of attention in combat sports.
I love that.
Well, it'd be cool just to be like, why does it have to be like, hey, I need to beat you at MMA? You are a kickboxer.
Right.
You are an MMA fighter. It's two different sports.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, but it's like exciting to see. Like,
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
See if he could survive the first round in just pure Muay Thai.
Yeah.
No takedowns.
No, I think that clown show is that Jake Paul match. Such a clown show.
What are they doing?
Is he still fighting AD? Is that still going on?
Oh, that one. Yeah, I thought because he's got a PFL contract as
Oh,
well,
does he?
right?
Joe Rogan has acknowledged Jake Paul's knockout power, especially after he floored a former UFC champion with a single punch. Rogan noted that if Paul had started his career as a boxer rather than a YouTuber, he would have likely received more respect for his knockouts. Instead, his background as an internet personality has led many fans to remain skeptical of his abilities, despite his success in the ring.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, you're like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? If he wasn't that big YouTube star, and you just saw him as a boxing contender, you'd be like, that dude's got dynamite in his hands.
Eddie Hearn has issued a warning to Jake Paul, stating that if he truly wants to fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need insurance. Hearn emphasized that Joshua is a powerhouse and stepping into the ring with him would be an extremely dangerous move.
Hearn responding to Jake Paul's call out of Anthony Joshua by stating this. He states, Joshua would fight anyone anytime, but warn Paul about the risk. If Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. And let me counterpunch. Eddie Hearn responding to this just confirms that this fight could actually happen. Because, Eddie pretty much, calls the shots. He makes the play. Anthony Joshua's interested. Now, Eddie Hearn is stating that he's interested. So that means, hey, why not wait? Why wait to 26? Why not this year in 25? And that means that he is very comfortable with putting Anthony Joshua in there with Jake Paul. And if I was Eddie Hearn, people, counterpunching this statement, I would too. Because this is, to me, again, like I've told you guys before, when Jake Paul called out Anthony Joshua, I think he overstepped himself.
Eddie Hearn has also questioned why Jake Paul wants to wait until 2026 to fight, rather than stepping into the ring this year. He believes that if Paul is serious, he should take the fight as soon as possible. Hearn's confidence in the matchup suggests that negotiations might already be underway. If both sides reach an agreement, the fight could happen much sooner than expected.
And Eddie being that confident by responding the way he did, why wait to next year? Let's do it now, or let's do it this year. That says a lot, man. That is saying a lot about Eddie Hearn. The confidence is there. He wants that fight because Jake Paul is better than people think he is. But can he beat AJ? No. Because one shot from AJ would put Jake Paul on a stretcher, on the gurney. And Eddie, he saw that. He saw it just like I did. Just like I think you guys know. I think Jake Paul is calling him out because he needs another big fight. And calling out Anthony Joshua is a good way to do it. He promised Canelo Alvarez, I promise you, you're going to need me. I promise you, my fight is going to be bigger than yours. Well, who is on that level?
Shannon Sharp doesn't believe Jake Paul stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. He bluntly stated, Anthony Joshua is way too big for you, making it clear that he thinks Paul is taking on more than he can handle. With Joshua's size, power, and experience, many believe this fight could end disastrously for Paul.
The elites. We talk about the elites at their craft. It's not going to happen. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jake fought the closest,
Tyson Fury, brother.
Tommy Paul, the closest person to actually,
Tommy Fury.
Tommy. If you want to challenge someone with the one loss you have. Take him out.
Despite the criticism, Teddy Atlas has praised Jake Paul for his dedication to becoming a great fighter. He acknowledges that Paul is genuinely working to improve and compete at a high level. Having seen many fighters come and go, Atlas recognizes the effort Paul is putting into his boxing career.
But listen, I don't want to mock it. I know you're going to take me there. I don't want to mock it because anyone gets in the ring, I ain't mocking them. I'm not. And I have a lot of respect for Jake Paul, what he's done, and the way he's done it. He's trained hard to become the best fighter he can be, and he's a work in progress, and he's still working. He's still trying to be better.
Jake Paul hasn't just called out Anthony Joshua. He's also claimed that he can beat Canelo Alvarez. This bold statement has frustrated many boxing fans, as Canelo is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo.
Stop the tape now. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. The thing I respect about Jake Paul is his strategic selection of opponent. The retired NBA player, the mixed martial artist who does not specialize in striking, and a almost approaching 60-year-old Mike Tyson. But Anthony Joshua's skills are 1,000 light years ahead of Jake Paul's. Anthony Joshua, Mr. 28 wins, 25 knockouts, 4 losses. Anthony Joshua has been in the ring with real fighters. His resume speaks for itself. I just have one thing to say. Jake Paul, you can't play boxing. Trust me, just stay in your lane.
One of the biggest factors in this potential fight is the weight difference between the two fighters. Jake Paul reportedly weighed 200.2 pounds for his fight against Mike Tyson, while Anthony Joshua typically competes in the heavyweight range of 252 to 255 pounds. This significant size disparity could play a major role in the outcome of the fight.
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying? The co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects. And Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional, but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work?
Anthony Joshua has faced some of the biggest names in boxing and has far more experience than Jake Paul. Joe Rogan has highlighted this in discussions about the potential fight, emphasizing that Joshua has been through wars against elite fighters, while Paul is still relatively new to the sport.
Boaz coming into his own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27. That guy's fucking scary. He's dangerous. Going into that fight, it seems like he believed that he was just going to dominate. He was so aggressive. He was just in the pocket constantly, just forcing Joshua to go to war. It was wild.
Everybody was like, look, to Joshua, I think you're done.
Right after he knocks out Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Flattened Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, oh, Joshua's back. Look how good he looked.
Jake Paul has faced criticism for carefully selecting his opponents, with many believing he only fights retired or less capable fighters to pad his record. His recent bout against 52-year-old Mike Tyson fueled these accusations, as some argue Paul only takes fights he knows he can win. This has sparked debate about whether he is genuinely testing himself. Joe Rogan weighed in on the fight, expressing relief that Tyson didn't get hurt. He also acknowledged that, despite the controversy, Tyson received a massive payday from the event.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah, I think that's what I'd heard. Which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude.
Me too.
And he was a larger-than-life figure in my childhood.
Truly, me
when
too.
I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like, people don't understand what a champ he was. Like, he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner.
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last.
Which fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights, and I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and that's when I met Tyson in the green room, and I met at the same time Muhammad Ali in the green room.
Oh wow,
that was a moment.
Wow,
as a boxing fan,
that's
that was
a heavy
real
moment.
But I remember, and I don't know who it was, and I think it was a 90-second fight, and I went to go see this fight, and Tyson was fighting, and this guy was doing this stuff before he had built himself into confidence, and Mike came out afterwards. He was the first one, obviously, and Mike came out afterwards, and I watched his face. I didn't watch Mike. You would normally watch Mike because he's so charismatic and he's coming. You want to see what he's going to do. And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face.
Rampage Jackson has criticized Jake Paul for not taking on real opponents, stating that he wouldn't fight Paul unless he was too old, implying that Paul only targets aging or less dangerous fighters. This sentiment echoes a common criticism of Paul's boxing career, as many believe he carefully selects opponents to maintain his winning record.
Jake Paul, no, but I'm never going to call out Jake Paul again because I saw Butterbean call him out and that looked pathetic. So I'm never going to call out Jake Paul. But I've called out Jake Paul and stuff like that. Everybody calling out Jake Paul, and Jake Paul. I'm not calling out Jake Paul. He won't fight me for another 10 years until I'm too old to get in there. I'm not. Everybody know that's a money fight and stuff like that. But fuck, I don't give a fuck about him.
Just overall, your thoughts on his opponent selection these last few fights?
He's smart. He's smart.
Jake Paul isn't just calling out Anthony Joshua. He's also claimed that he can beat Canelo Alvarez. Many boxing fans find this claim absurd, as Canelo is one of the most skilled and experienced fighters in the sport. Despite the skepticism, Paul remains confident in his abilities.
Who's the person that if you fight, you're like, I can't believe I'm in the ring with this person, and let's fucking go?
I think Canelo. We're the two biggest names in the sport and two biggest pay-per-view draws in the sport. I think it would just shut the internet down, and I know I can win. So
you could beat Canelo.
Yes.
Jake Paul has stated that he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026 to gain more experience and increase his weight. However, Eddie Hearn believes that if Paul is serious, he should take the fight this year instead of waiting in response. Paul has criticized Hearn, calling him two-faced and claiming that he acts nice on camera, but is a different person behind the scenes. Paul has had a complicated relationship with promoters, and this is just another example of his outspoken nature.
And of course, Eddie Hearn is already preparing his excuse.
Dude, he's preparing it.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's a weasel. He's a snake. Snake guy right there.
What do you mean he's a weasel?
Man, I don't even know where to begin with him, but he's very two-faced. I think off camera he's on your side, man, I love what you're doing actually, and I really respect it, and blah blah blah, and you're gonna take this a long way. And then the cameras come on, and he's like, "You're not that good," da da da, saying all.
So he's selling. He's selling.
Backhand. It's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Or a backhanded diss. The way he words it and shit. He's like, "Oh, you're average." Well, average isn't that bad. Well, Eddie, what if I called your wife average? You know what I'm saying?
Despite the controversies, Jake Paul has found success as a boxing promoter, bringing attention to the sport and creating opportunities for other fighters. His ability to market himself and his fights has made him one of the most talked about names in boxing. Paul has also expressed interest in fighting Gervonta Tank Davis, but Davis has completely dismissed the idea. He stated that he would laugh at the notion and even refer to Paul as a clown, making it clear that he doesn't take him seriously as a boxer.
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown.
Yeah.
He's a clown.
Would you look at it as a joke if your team was like, "Yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul"? Would you be like, "Come on, man"?
I laugh at him. You want me to fight him?
You think it'll ever come to the point where you're going to mix into, you're obviously doing the real shit, but will it ever mix into the point where the money's big enough?
Yeah, would you ever do a fight like that?
I feel as though in my career I can't do that right now.
Despite previously dismissing Jake Paul, Gervonta Tank Davis has recently shown interest in fighting him. This could be one of the reasons why Paul is delaying his fight with Anthony Joshua, as he may want to face Davis first. If this fight happens, it would generate massive attention, adding another high-profile bout to Paul's growing resume.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Floyd Mayweather has stated that while Jake Paul is skilled at making money, he is more focused on entertainment than true boxing competition. Mayweather acknowledges Paul's financial success, but does not view him as an elite boxer.
You get out of that bubble to make somebody a real boxer.
What he's doing is, kind of cool. If he can continue to steal money, and they match him the way they match him, I can't knock his hustle. So if they can match him the way how they've been matching him, more power to him.
Champ, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
We gotta give Nick, put the camera on PT. Yo, PT, man, we appreciate you. Thanks, P, for making this happen. P and Rilla, we appreciate the money team all the time, man. We got so one time before we go, Floyd, because I'm coming over to the palace. What's in the ceiling? So the fans know what's in the ceiling.
Oh, Chihuly?
Yo, Floyd, thank you so much. We appreciate you, champ. We're coming over to the palace soon, man.
All right, let's do it.
Got you, man. Thank you.
Jake Paul has even challenged Floyd Mayweather to a fight, but Mayweather has made it clear that he would only accept under proper boxing conditions. He emphasized that just because Paul is making money doesn't mean he is a top-level fighter, reinforcing his belief that Paul is more about entertainment than true competition.
Fight. Is he someone you're interested in or no?
Well, if you go back, you got to do your homework, look on the internet. I think he was doing a sit down on a podcast one time, and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
He said, I'm only doing real fights. And of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
Have you been impressed?
But one thing I like about him, one thing I do like about him, he's selling it. He's selling it, and he's making good money, and he's entertaining. I like it.
Is he? And Floyd, there are many people who believe you're the most talented fighter ever. Period. So whatever you say to this question, I think is important. Are you impressed? Does he have boxing ability, or is he just an entertainer who has a lot of fans and can promote a fight and has fought lesser opponents, or is he actually talented?
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and I'll catch you next time.